What's up, guys? I'm PokeaimMD, and we have some awesome information. The starters were confirmed today, and their typings are amazing. I think we actually have, in my opinion, the best starter triangle of typings that we've ever had. First off, we have the final evolution of Rowlet, Decidueye, which is grass and ghost typing. I don't think anybody saw grass and ghost coming. Some people said, oh, obviously grass flying was the first one because Rowlet was grass flying, and then some people speculated grass ground because you know, burrow arrows or ground arrows, ground owls are a thing. But we have grass and ghost typing on Decidueye, the final evolution of Rowlet. And let me just talk about grass and ghost real quick. So grass and ghost is weak to flying, fire, ice, ghost, and dark. So we have some pretty common types there, at least in the higher tiers, being fire, ice, ghost, and dark. But it resists electric, grass, ground, and water. The last two are actually very, very important because those are some of the most common types in the game, ground and water, especially always running around. And it has two immunities, being normal and fighting. So two great immunities, or at least one great immunity. Fighting is easily a great immunity. Some very key weaknesses being ghost, ice, dark, and fire, but some great resistances as well being ground and water. And can I just say that ghost couples with grass so well? Grass is resisted, just to name a few types that grass is resisted by: steel, dragon, fire, just to name a few types. Obviously there's flying and poison, bug, list goes on. But to name those types in particular, ghost couples so well because it hits neutral on all those types. For example, a Latios being hit by a grass type attack doesn't care, but being hit by a ghost type attack, super effective on Latios, obviously because of its psychic typing. So this is so cool offensively. I believe that we have the best types ever for the starters right now. And let's just read up about this Pokemon real quick. So I'm assuming it's Decidueye or Decidueye, however you want to say it. But this Pokemon is able to move about while completely masking its presence from others. Once an opponent has lost sight of it, Decidueye seizes the chance to attack its unawares. In a tenth of a second, Decidueye plucks an arrow quill from within its wing and sends it hurling towards its target. Its speed is astonishing. We're going to stop right there. Its speed is astonishing, but not more than its precise aim, which enables the arrow quill to pierce a target through and through from half a mile or more away. Decidueye, okay, I know I said I would stop there and then I kept reading, but the fact that it says its speed is astonishing, so I'm not sure if it's saying the bird's shot is astonishing, but typically I would assume that means that this thing is actually extremely, extremely fast. Extremely fast. And that's amazing for something with grass and ghost typing. Ghost typing in general is amazing typing. It's actually amazing typing. And again, grass actually couples pretty well with that too, because ghost being resisted by dark, and obviously the fact that normal is immune to ghost. Grass does so well versus that. I can think of a dark type Pokemon that would hate this thing, and that would be Tyranitar, because yes, it could pursuit trap that thing, but it's also weak to the grass typing because of its rock typing. So that's such amazing typing. And the fact that this thing is, just based on its description, potentially fast, it usually acts very cool, but it can become terribly flustered in unexpected situations like a surprise attack. Let's just move down to its new move. Spirit Shock was a ghost type physical move that only Decidueye can learn. An opponent hit with this move will become unable to flee from battle or switch out for an ally. So that's kind of like a physical mean look, if I'm not mistaken. Let's actually look at it if it actually does damage real quick. I want to just go through the video without. That's really cool. So it sends out an arrow right here, and I'm pretty sure it did damage. Spirit Shackle. So this is a signature move, yeah, and it also prevents the Pokemon from. So I'm pretty sure it's a physical move that actually hits your opponent. It's a ghost type physical move. So again, more than likely going to be maybe a physical bird type thing going on. I mean, it is grass and ghost. They do have good special and physical coverage on that side, especially if it has Spirit Shackle. So this is ghost type physical move coverage. Yeah, but there's also options of that new grass move. I'm assuming this thing gets something with its arrows. There's obviously Shadow Ball on the special side, Energy Ball, Giga Drain on the special side. It's probably going to no fly, but I mean, in competitive, that's not so amazing. But the fact that this thing has a new Ghost type attack, and when it hits you with it, you can't switch out, that's awesome and competitive. Ghost is such a great typing in general, and the fact that if it hits you, you're going to be able to switch out after, but your opponent has to stay in, at least for that one turn until you switch, because it does prevent you from switching. That's usually the case with moves. Like Look, for example, until you switch out, that move stays. So that's so cool, and I can definitely see this thing being one of the best starters ever, just based on its typing alone, based on its move, and based on the fact that it's more than likely going to be fast, just because it says its speed is astonishing. So let's keep on going to the next starter. The Luchalitin is actually Incineroar, and it is indeed fire and dark, as we were all asking for, and I am so hype about that. And let's actually read up about it real quick. So it's fire and dark. As its fighting spirit increases, the flames that Incineroar produces within its body burst from its navel and waistline. Since the flames somewhat resemble a championship belt, they're known as its flames belt. Ooh, that boy is fire. And the Pokemon unleashes moves that uses flames from it. In the heat of battle, Incineroar shows no concern for its opponent, and sometimes even launches an attack to strike the opposing trainer. As a result, many tend to dislike this Pokemon and keep it at a distance. If a crowd watching its battle is pumped up, Incineroar's fighting spirit will burn brighter, but a lackluster crowd can make it lose focus or fight shoddily. When it receives the admiration of the young Pokemon and children, it may keep up its cold attitude on the outside, but in its heart of hearts, Incineroar is immensely happy. It loses the desire to fight when faced with a Pokemon that's clearly weak or injured, and it sometimes gets taken advantage of as a result. So I love this thing. I love the way it is actually a wrestler, and it actually loses its desire to fight when its opponent is weak. That's so cool. Darkest Lariat is a dark-type physical move that only Incineroar can learn, and it allows Incineroar to deal damage while ignoring the effects of any stat changes that the target might otherwise be affected by. So that's really cool. That's a dark type new physical move that this thing uses, and I just want to show you how cool it is. I just don't want to get copyright from this or get taken down. Last time I did that. But one, I love the way this looks. You already know this is going to be my starter, but I can't lie, I love Decidueye 100%. The way it looks, so sick. So sick. And obviously its typing is ridiculous as well. I also, by the way, love how Incineroar's typing completely checks that fire and dark, resistance to ghost, and resistant to grass. And I think that's what they really tried to do. They tried to make all three of the starters beat each other. And I love how they put some of the best typings in the game. First off, you have Ghost. Ghost is one of the best typings in the game. Undisputed. Dark. One of the best typings in the game. Undisputed. And you already know what the water is going to be, okay? You can probably already tell just based on that and the fact that I said one of the best typings in the game. You'll see, as I say. But Fire and Dark, such great typing offensively. If you couple that with fighting type coverage, amazing. Amazing on top of that. Dark is really good for fire, with fighting coverage, obviously, because it covers Pokemon like Tyranitar, it can't be pursuit trapped. Dark also couples really well for fire because, obviously, fire can't touch either opposing fire types, water types, dragon types, and Dark obviously helps out with that. It also, because fire is resisted by Dark, Dark helps that out as well. Rock is resisted by fire. Sorry about that. Dark obviously helps that out as well. I absolutely love the typing, the Pokemon, and Darkest Lariat. I'm gonna try and show it. Just look how sick that looked. Probably gonna get my video taken down from that. And I'll probably have to re-upload. But that looks so sick. And the fact that it ignores effects of any stat changes. So that means, obviously, if you're boosted physical defense, let's just say you're acid armored up or something like that, or you have boosted evasion, it doesn't care, it will hit you. So that's so cool. It doesn't matter about your evasion, doesn't matter about your stat boost, it will hit you. And I love that. Such a cool signature move and amazing typing. And of course, we have the siren of the group, the final evolution of Poplio Primarina, and it is Water Fairy. And again, absolutely love how the dual typings of the starters take on each other. First off, you have Grass and Ghost, which is resisted by Incineroar, which is Fire and Dark. And then Fire and Dark are both resisted by Primarina's Water and Fairy typing. And can I just say, Water and Fairy is such great. It's absolutely amazing typing. Absolutely amazing typing. It gives it a resistance, an immunity to Dragon. Water obviously doesn't care about Steel, so Steel is neutral. So it also neutralizes a weakness that Fairy once had, and obviously it's obviously weak to Electric, Grass. Yes, that's going around. Obviously Poison as well. It gets a new added Poison weakness. But being resistant or being neutral now to Steel is pretty cool, especially with something like Scissor. This is something that can actually beat Scissor 1v1, potentially Scald Burns, Water and Fairy. Such cool typing, and its signature move, Sparkling Araya, is that how you say it? Heals the burns of any target it strikes. Now, this is cool with as a support Pokemon and potentially doubles or potentially VGC. I can see this thing being ridiculous. The fact that it heals its burns, the fact that this thing is rumored to have that new Light Screen Reflect move in one, amazing. And I love, again, I absolutely love how it 100% takes on the Fire and Dark Incineroar. So Primarina is really cool. Let's just read up about it real quick as well. Water Fairy is such cool typing, and I'm glad this thing got it. I absolutely love all the starters, especially competitive. Competitive wise, they're actually all amazing. In fact, Incineroar might actually be the bottom of the bunch if it doesn't get fighting coverage, but I'm pretty sure it's going to get fighting coverage. It's a fighter. It's absolutely a fighter, so it's definitely going to get fighting coverage. Either whether it be close combat or superpower. I can actually see it getting close combat over superpower just because it gets all up in your face. But as it dances, Primarina releases balloons of water into the area around itself, moving them using the sound waves from its voices. The sight of moonlight reflecting off its glittering balloons creates a magical scene. Since Primarina controls its balloons using its voice, any injury to its throat can become a grave problem. Its greatest enemies are arid environments and the overuse of its voice during back-to-back battles. Do you think this thing might get as a hidden ability maybe Pixelate and then like Hyper Voice as one of its moves? It probably gets like Hyper Voice as one of its moves. Probably gets Sing in its moveset, things like that. So a Water Fairy type with Pixelate actually sounds ridiculous. Among the balloons that... Can I just say how good water typing is also? You have access to Scald, one of the best moves in the game, having a 30% chance to burn. Being able to resist fire, obviously, be neutral. You resist fire with this. You also, what water does is, obviously Fairy was resistant by fire, but now water obviously cancels that out. It's just good typing. It's just great typing, actually. Among the balloons that Primarina releases, some explode when touched, while others do not. Primarina jumped on the non-exploding balloons while they make sport of their opponents, and they use the exploding variety to trigger chain explosions. So it's going to have some sort of cool explosion balloon type attack. That's pretty cool. Sparkling Rise is a water type special move that only... Okay, it's a water type special move that only Primarina can learn, and it heals the burns of any target it strikes. So if it's a water type special move, then it probably also does damage as well, and it heals the burn of any target it strikes. I'm not sure if it actually does damage as well, because it's a water type special move, yeah, but it heals the burns of any target it strikes. So that's so confusing for me. Let's actually see what this does. Okay, that looks way too cool to not be an attack. So obviously that thing took damage, but the fact that it heals the burns of any target it strikes is so cool, and support at least. So maybe if you have like a resistant mon, like let's say you pair it with like I don't know, like a Rotom in doubles, and the Rotom got burnt, you can heal it up. It won't take too much damage. So I love all their signature moves. Decidueye traps you when it hits you. Incineroar obviously doesn't care about your stats, and this thing can actually heal you from a burn. So that's really cool. That's really cool. All the typings are really cool. Water Fairy, Grass Ghost, Dark Fire, amazing. I love how they made the whole triangle be able to take on each other and completely counter each other. So next up, we have Tapu Lele, which is one of the Akala Island. It's the Akala Island Guardian. It is Psychic and Fairy with the ability Psychic Surge. Now, Psychic Fairy... Psychic offensively isn't bad typing at all, especially if you couple that with Fairy. Obviously, it's still resisted by Steel, but Fairy, what it does is it gives it that, it lets it get through Dark types, obviously, as well. And its ability is so cool, Psychic Surge. This ability is, we'll actually just go right to the ability. Tapu Lele's ability is Psychic Surge, an ability that no Pokemon has previously had. With Psychic Surge, the field will turn into a Psychic Terrain when Tapu Lele appears in battle, boosting the power of any Psychic type move used by a Pokemon on the ground and preventing them from being hit by priority moves. So not only does it gain that neutrality to Dark, so it can already be neutral versus a move like Sucker Punch, but it also means that it can't be hit by priority moves. So this thing can't be hit by priority Brave Bird. It can't be hit by priority Sucker Punch, priority Bullet Punch. So a Scizor, for example, whose only Steel move usually is Bullet Punch, and his other move is usually U-Turn, Bug Bite, Super Power. I can at best hit this thing for neutral. Even though a boosted Bug Bite would more than likely take out a Pokemon that's neutral versus it anyway. But I love the way it looks. I like a little shell on the beach. I love how it looks, and I love that Psychic Terrain. Look at this level 70 Eradicate. Confirmed, it does have Sucker Punch, and it shows right here that Eradicate use Sucker Punch. The wild type ability surrounds itself with Psychic Terrain, and then it obviously takes no damage from that. So boosting the power of Psychic to move on the ground and preventing them from being hit by Psychic type priority moves. So obviously Psychic type Pokemon are not hit, or power Psychic type moves used by Pokemon on the ground and preventing them. So I think actually what it means is Pokemon on the ground can't be hit by priority moves, and that's absolutely amazing. That's so cool for a Pokemon like this, which is obviously weak to Steel, just to name something. A +6 Azumarill with Aqua Jet, doesn't matter. That boy won't be revenge killing this thing. Hits you with a boosted Psychic move, and all you got to do is couple that with Fighting coverage, and you have one of the you have amazing coverage right here. Psychic, Fairy, Fighting. Fairy type obviously lets it get through Dark, and a Pokemon like Sableye, for example, which otherwise take on the Psychic, it's a pure Psychic type, Fairy type just helps it get through that. And again, couple that with Fighting coverage so it can get through Steel types. Amazing. Sick coverage. I love it. Tapu Lele. I was going to read up, but I don't think there's much of a point. I mean, this is obviously really cool. Like, I love the descriptions that they say of the Pokemon. But Nature's Madness slams in the target. This is one of its moves. Nature's Madness slams the target with all of its Nature's Rage, reducing the target's HP by half. Psychic Terrain is a move that no Pokemon was previously able to learn, and using it will boost the power of any Psychic type moves used by Pokemon on the ground and prevent them from being hit by priority moves. So obviously, Psychic Terrain is a new attack that not only this thing can learn, has an ability, but obviously it's a new move, which is, to be expected. Electric Terrain is Tapu Koko's ability, but it's also an attack, or that's what its ability does. But Nature's Madness slams a target with its Nature's Rage, reducing the target's HP by half. So it's kind of like a Super Fang. Nature's Madness is kind of like Super Fang of this. That's really cool, and I'm assuming it might be maybe Fairy or potentially Psychic. I'm kind of hoping it's Fairy because that means it can hit every Pokemon, but that doesn't even matter if it can hit Dark because, again, if it's Psychic and it can't hit Dark types, you have the Fairy coverage on top of that to deal with it. So next up, we have Tapu Fini, looking like a dolphin. Actually, no. We have Tapu Bulu. Bulu, the Grass and Fairy type, and Grass and Fairy, again, really cool coverage with the ability Grassy Surge, and its ability that no other Pokemon previously had. With Grassy Surge, the field will be turned into grassy terrain when Tapu Bulu appears in the field in the battle, boosting the power of any Grass type moves used by Pokemon on the ground and restoring a bit of HP to them each turn. It also has the damage taken from the moves Earthquake, Magnitude, and Bulldoze. So I'm assuming that's supposed to mean like ground physical attacks or something like that, but it has the damage taken from that. Not only does it resist it, so it even has the damage on top of that. It boosts the power of grass type moves. I mean, it was grassy terrain, we already had that. And restoring a bit of HP. It can learn Nature's Madness, an attack that slams the target with its fallen Nature's Rage, reducing the target's HP by half. So I'm assuming because this can learn it and this can learn it, well, yeah, not to show that Pokemon off just yet, but I'm assuming it might be Fairy, and that's really cool because that's a move that nothing will be immune to that. Not like Super Fang. Super Fang, Ghost types can obviously dodge Super Fang because it is a normal type attack, but the fact that nothing will be immune to that, really cool. I love how it looks. It has access to Horn Leech as well, which was shown in here versus the Zygarde. I was using Horn Leech right here. I love how it looks. Pokemon doesn't like unnecessary battles or fighting other Pokemon because of this. It makes a loud ringing noise with its tail to alert those nearby of its presence. Although Tapu Bulu may not like to start battles, it shows no mercy when dealing with evildoers. It said that when thieves once broke into its ruins, it punished them by swinging trees around like massive clubs. Good lord. So grass and fairy typing is interesting, right? It doesn't actually help fairy type versus anything that fairy type is weak to or resisted by, being fire, being steel. It's not obviously weak to fire. Well, now it's weak to fire because of the grass type added to it. It actually just added a grass type, a double poison weakness, a flying type weakness, an ice type weakness, just to name a few things that this thing was weak to. So I don't actually like grass and fairy type defensively, and offensively it doesn't really add too much for it. But I mean, grass type is always cool because it helps you get through one of the bulkier types, or two of the best types, being water and ground, bulky wise, and even just offensively. You're resistant to both of them. So defensively, you're resistant to them, and offensively, you break through them. So that's pretty cool. Obviously, like I said, grass doesn't help you with anything that fairy doesn't break through. So steel types still don't take on because of grass unless they're like steel and ground. So then you do neutral. Obviously fire is resistant to both of the grass and fairy, and then obviously you also have what was the other one? Poison. Again, grass and fairy doesn't really do much versus that, but still pretty cool. I love the way it looks. Next up we have Tapu Fini, the water and fairy type. So we have two water and fairy types now. Can I just say again, this is Pony's Island's guardian, Tapu Fini, and it knows Misty Surge. So let's read up about it real quick. Tapu Fini's ability is Misty Surge. I love how it's a dolphin, by the way. Really cool. Tapu Fini's ability is Misty Surge. An opponent ability that no Pokemon has previously had. With Misty Surge, the field will be turned into misty terrain when Tapu Finis appear in battle, having the damage taken from Pokemon on the ground from Dragon type moves and preventing them from being inflicted with status conditions or confusion. So again, same thing as what was it, Misty Terrain or whatever it was, but basically no status, so that's really cool. This thing has an immunity to poison, burn, sleep, or confusion. So again, a Pokemon which automatically starts off with an immunity to all status is amazing. Couple that with water and fairy typing. We already talked about how good that is, and again, that gives you you now have a way of breaking through fire types. You now have a way of breaking through poison types because obviously water isn't resisted by poison. Scald is always an option, always a nice option. And again, it does have that new move, Nature's Madness, so it does half your opponent no matter what. It's able to attack by manipulating water since it hates to risk harm to itself during battle. It prefers to create a thick fog that puts opponents in a trance and leads them to destroy themselves. Wow. Tapu Fini's expression remains listless even when it's unleashing moves. Some Pokemon say it might look this way because using its moves is so exhausting. Really, really love the way, I really love its typing. Again, water and fairy, you have, just to name a key resistance, dark. Dark is just one of the biggest resistances you have. You have an immunity to dragon, and those are some of the biggest resistances and immunities you can have. And water cancels out that that steel weakness, and that becomes a neutrality or neutral versus it. Obviously, grass, electric, just to name a few types, you are weak to that. Poison, you're still weak to that. But again, I'm not trying to name them all. I'm just naming a few that are key. But again, water pairs really well with fairy. Defensively, great. And offensively, amazing as well. And again, just having the access to moves like Scald potentially. Its ability is so sick. The fact that it... well, having the damage taken by Pokemon on the ground from Dragon type moves doesn't really matter for this one per se. I guess in doubles that would matter a lot more. But for this Pokemon, it's obviously immune to Dragon, so it's not going to be taking any damage. But you pair that with something that's normally in doubles. Let's say I'm just going to use always Rotom Wash as an example, just because it's a Pokemon that I've seen a lot in VGC. I'm not saying that we could use this. I don't know if it's actually in the deck. It should be in the deck, right? Because our Rotom is a Pokedex anyway, so I'm assuming we find out about Rotom early on or in time. But that's Pokemon. Let's say Choice Specs Latios, for example. Again, this isn't it's using the example of a double battle format, but it's not using what's common in VGC. But let's say Choice Specs Latios. It can knock out Rotom Wash with Draco Meteor most of the time. But you pair it with this thing, yeah, Misty. Well, actually, no. Rotom Wash isn't touching the ground. Okay, a Smackdown Rotom Wash won't die or Draco Meteor, okay? Just a Pokemon on the ground. I guess, what's another Pokemon that's always being hit by Draco Meteors? Let's say Hippowdon, for example. Hippowdon being on... Can this thing stop blinking? Oh my god. Hippowdon being on the ground. Let's say it's a 70% Hippowdon. That's usually in range of Draco Meteor. It's on the ground. It will not die to Draco Meteor because it's on the ground, touching the ground. So, Pokemon on the ground, taking half damage. Really cool. So it's going to be taking about 35-40% for that Draco Meteor, life of Draco Meteor anyway. And everything being afflicted with status, conditions, and confusion. And that's just this as well. This cannot be put to sleep. This cannot be burnt. This cannot be paralyzed. This cannot be confused. And I love it. Such a great Pokemon stats-wise. Not stats-wise, but just typing-wise and ability-wise. So next up, obviously, you saw Alolan Persian. By the way, they have a new Z move, which is so cool. They summon like this body. They go on top of it, and they kind of like crush. They crush the opponent. Why she look so happy about that? Hold up. Look at her. Look at her. Go back to her. Just look at her. You saw that smile on her face? Did you not see the smile? Am I the only one seeing the smile? She definitely has issues. You're not going to be smiling that you're crushing this Probopass. Let's go back to it. I'm going to try and pause it directly on her. Look at this. Look at this. So happy. If this was an anime, she'd definitely be the bad guy. I'm telling you that right now. Anyway, next up we have Alolan. Okay, well fine. We'll talk about this new legendary Cosmog. It's a Psychic type with the ability Unaware. Unaware is always a great ability, right? Because you don't care about boost. You don't care about anything like that. And so, example, a Swords Dance boosted Scizor's Bullet Punch would only be at, it wouldn't be boosted, it'd just be a neutral damage Bullet Punch. That's probably not a good example considering this thing is the Psychic type Pokemon, but this extremely rare Pokemon is known to only a select few in Alola. At one time it was known only by the kings of Alola and their heirs, and it was called the Child of the Stars. The Aether Foundation is researching this unusual Pokemon, and one of the professors at the foundation recently dubbed it Cosmog. Cosmog is a very curious and shows, oh, excuse me, I added like word there. Cosmog is very curious and shows no fear of Pokemon or people. If you treat it with any consideration at all, it will take an immediate liking to you. This personality trait often leads it into danger. Its gaseous body is so lightweight that it's sent flying when the wind blows. When light falls on this Pokemon, Cosmog absorbs it and grows. So we don't know too much about this. I don't want to spoil too much, but just looking at it, it bears a huge resemblance to Lunala, just based on the way it looks, its color. So it bears a huge resemblance to Lunala. But obviously it's its own Pokemon because it has its own typing, Psychic, and its own ability, Unaware. Now, Unaware isn't the best on Psychic types per se. I'll give you the example of Bisharp. Obviously, we don't know if Bisharp will be common in Sun and Moon, but now Bisharp is a very, very solid Pokemon with the priority move, Sucker Punch, with the move Knockoff. So a boosted Bisharp does not care about this because I'm pretty sure Sucker Punch will knock it out anyway. Knockoff, knock the thing out. So Psychic type isn't the best typing to have Unaware on because Dark, Ghost, Steel all get through you. Some of the strongest typings that we have and some of the most offensive typings that we have. You don't resist anything. For example, a Pokemon like Quagsire or Clefable, Unaware, they have the Fairy typing. They have ground and water, so that helps them a lot. But this thing doesn't really have that typing to deal with it. But it is its own Pokemon. I love that, and it is to be. I'm assuming it's going to be like a legendary Pokemon, and the fact that it looks a lot like Lunala, I'll leave that up to your imagination. What does that mean? But next up we have, reconnect, Alolan Persian. That I want to talk about, and obviously this is 100% confirmed now. The Fur Coat and Technician. So Technician is obviously something that we already knew Persian already had. Or something? Yeah, Technician is something that Persian already had, and what it does is obviously moves like Fake Out are boosted. On the special side, you have moves like Swift. This is on or you have like Shockwave, you have like Water Pulse, Swift, whatever. I don't know why this is just Swa. But obviously Alolan Persian is pure dark type, and it also has the ability Fur Coat. Now what Fur Coat does is it actually doubles your defense. So 60 base power defense turns into over 400, right? Couple that with base 65 HP, not necessarily the best, yeah, but you know there's another Pokemon that has this ability with only 60 base defense, and that is Furfrou. And my boy Furfrou, I'll show you an example of something that Furfrou can do, okay? Let's see, Furfrou. Offensive pivot. No, we're not running that set. We're going to run max defense, max HP, Impish. What? Impish with the ability Fur Coat. Now, what's one of the strongest fighting types in the game? Let's see Mega Lucario. Oh man, an adaptability boosted close combat does not kill. I'm going to tell you right now, if you remember that OPO video I did, they messed up Fur Coat because it doubles your defenses. So basically, just to show you how bulky something with Fur Coat can be, or how annoying it will be to kill with physical attacks. Close combat, this is super effective, guys, on Furfrou. 79 and 93%. You don't kill. You don't OHKO with close combat. Now, shouldn't be running Adamant Lucario, but even Adamant Lucario only has an 18.8% chance. So that's just to show you something how Fur Coat does. Obviously, Meowth has less base HP at 65, so let's just put 65 here. Still, close combat doesn't kill, just to show you. So obviously it's pure dark type. Really cool for moves like Knockoff that Meowth already learns. Sucker Punch that Meowth can learn. I'm assuming it's going to be able to get Sucker Punch anyway. But just to show you, a really cool typing. Technician's always cool, but Fur Coat, don't count that out just because of its ability to double your defenses. So, I'm not sure what move it's actually using here, but let's actually read up about it real quick. The round face of Alolan Persian is a symbol of the rich Alola region, and it's held to be a Pokemon of great beauty. Really? Looks like Garfield to me. It's such a distinctive Pokemon of the Alola region that all Persian are well protected, and strict inspections are required before tourists can be permitted to take one back to their home region. Persian is highly intelligent with even a higher opinion of itself, so it's a stuck-up Pokemon. In general, it looks down on everything other than itself. It doesn't tend to grow attached to its trainer either, so it's a difficult Pokemon to have as a partner in battle. An exquisite coat shines with the glow of high quality and enchants both humans and Pokemon. For this reason, it's a very popular Pokemon in the Alola region. It usually puts on a refined act, but once the battle begins, it will indulge in the most underhanded of tactics, including surprise attacks, trickery, and even foul play. So, a few attacks were said there. Obviously, foul play. When it says surprise attacks and trickery, I think of Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch is actually a pretty sneaky move. You know, you're Sucker Punching somebody. You're getting them off guard. So I'm assuming this thing is going to have Sucker Punch. Yeah, his haughty personality causes it to underestimate its opponents, often taken in by their counterattack. So Fur Coat's really cool. Technician's obviously cool. And I'm assuming it's going to be getting Sucker Punch. But, guys, we have some really cool information out of that. Just in the story itself, right here, we just got something of the story. A potential Pokemon League is being made. So I'm assuming when you get all, like, let's say, whatever it's called. I don't know if it's badges or symbols or whatever you get when you beat the trial captains and you do all that stuff. You're making a Pokemon League. You're making your own Pokemon League. That's really cool. And they can take on the Battle Tree, where you can pair up with really cool trainers like Cynthia, Wally. Well, I wouldn't count Wally as someone really cool. I didn't like Wally too much as a rival. But even at that, you get to fight Red and Blue. And nice to meet a fellow champ, yeah? So I'm assuming this is also something that happens after you beat the game. It says a fellow champ. So I'm assuming what happens in the story is you beat the Elite Four, or you beat the trial captains. You actually make a league and you battle up to these dudes. So I don't know. That's really cool that you fight Gary and Blue. And they obviously grew up a little bit, say the least. But I'm really hyped for Sun and Moon, guys. I love the information we got, and this is gonna be such a cool story. The story's looking great, the type is looking great. Obviously, let me know your thoughts down below, and yeah, subscribe for more Pokemon Sun and Moon content, especially when it comes out. We're gonna have playthroughs, competitive showdowns, Wi-Fi battles, even tournaments. But I will see you guys later. Thank you everybody for watching. Goodbye, friends.